Welcome back to this special episode of Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from Taiwan. I'm your host, Alec McDonald. How prepared is Taiwan for a potential Chinese invasion? This is the question we are talking about with Tony Hu, the former senior director for China, Taiwan, and Mongolia at the Pentagon. Resiliency is going to be a really big part of the battlefield strategy for Taiwan. So what part of resiliency is tested in the Han Kuang exercises?
Resiliency is a key part of Taiwan's Han Kuang exercise because they have to sustain the fight. Okay, if you don't have resiliency after the first strike, it's over. So at least during the ones that I observed, they always test the ability to move people and material within Taiwan's various combat zones. Depends on where the exercise scenario, where the enemy is landing and all that stuff, where the enemy is striking. So you can replace or sustain the combat forces where they are needed. So this portion is exercise, however, much more needs to be done. It's undoubtedly that much more needs to be done. So Taiwan needs to increase its war reserve stock and increase its ability to protect the transportation link, to move forces, and certainly the command control, the entire command control structure, to ensure they can survive and continuously survive, be able to be resilient, not only in the military terms, but also in civilian terms, such as your energy grid, your medical supply, and the type of things that allow Taiwan to continue to function.
I think that's an important point there, and I want to ask, if there is an amphibious assault and Taiwan defeats the first attempted amphibious assault on Taiwan, do you think there's going to be that political cost to Xi Jinping and the CCP? And they will realize that, so they might try another amphibious assault. Do you think that Taiwan has the resilience to fight back against another amphibious assault, both militarily and then political?
Well, first of all, I believe China is going to have the first strike is the final strike, because I don't think they can survive a second, because once they start the invasion, okay, even before, when the US coalition forces sees China's preparing for the invasion, there are already coalition forces forward deployed, ready to help defend Taiwan. So once they start, there'll be more follow-on forces coming. And the chance of China having sufficient forces to do a second wave is going to be unlikely. They must have, in the military terms, you use your strength to accomplish your primary objective, and you put forces like that. And it might be a lengthened initial strike, but I don't think there'll be a pause. I think they'll be continuously fighting. Now, Taiwan's ability to survive that continuous strike is important. The coalition forces' ability to continue to supply Taiwan during those times is important. They all plays into a role.
Do you think Taiwanese soldiers have the ability to be autonomous in decision making? So let's say there is a lieutenant or a captain lost. Do they have that autonomy and resilience to be able to make quick decisions in the heat of battle?
I think this is an area where Taiwan needs to improve, is provide the tactical guys their tactical objective, and the operational guys, operational, and strategic guys, strategic objective, so that within that objective they have freedom of action, freedom of decision. This is an area where I think it's more related to culture, where people feels if I can pass the responsibility up the chain, what should I do? If we did bad, it's your fault because you told me to do this. Where in the US we push the decision level to the lowest level possible. When you're a lieutenant or captain, you're told this is the objective. How you achieve that objective is up to you, because we have given you the training, the deployment of forces, how to combine your ability to achieve that objective, same at operational strategic level, so that the colonel, the general all know what is it I want you guys to do. The bigger picture is this, but you need to do this. Now Taiwan needs to improve on that.
This is Similar question is Taiwan's military has no actual combat experience. Now, the PLA doesn't have actual combat experience either.
Right.
But how, in the Han Kuang exercises, how do you reach that level so that soldiers react with muscle memory when it comes to actual combat?
This is a great question, and it's happening now. You've seen news all the time that U.S. forces are on Taiwan, training Taiwan, okay? And these are the ones that deployed here are the ones with combat experience. They're passing on U.S. combat experience to Taiwan soldiers. And also you've seen at the battalion level, Taiwan has deployed Taiwan Army to the U.S. for unit level training. 10 years ago, they deployed 3-4 guys to learn and come back, try to teach the entire unit. No, you got to train as a combat unit. Okay, that's happening. And you know, there is a F-16 squadron, Taiwan F-16 squadron in the United States for F-16 training. And every US instructor pilot in that squadron has combat time. And I just visited them just over a year ago. And so these are the things that United States do to pass on combat experience, because combat experience is hard to come by. I mean, unfortunately, the United States are involved in many skirmishes throughout the world, but this does give U.S. forces combat experience, and we're passing that on to the Taiwan forces.
Part of combat is the kit that you need, though. So I want to talk a little bit about that for a second, is the kit that Taiwan will need. The U.S., under the new Trump administration, has asked for 5% of GDP be spent. But how can Taiwan reach 5% of GDP for spending, or how can they use the budget to kind of reach a level that will make the current U.S. administration happy about this?
I think Taiwan is economically strong enough to be able to support a 5% GDP for defense. And of course, I've seen many of the lawmakers say that, oh, that's only a scheme for the United States to sell more arms. I think that's totally wrong. M&D has its own spending priorities, and I believe one of the priority is Taiwan M&D needs to strengthen its ability to recruit young men and women into the military force. It's important because of the culture issue, many of the parents don't want their children to get in the military. They don't see it as an honorable thing to help the country for a short duration of time. You pay back what the country offered you. That's how many of the U.S. Parents think, and the United States don't really have a problem with, especially in the Midwest. You know, they're so patriotic. So it's important to convince the parents that military service actually help transform your son, daughter from youth to men and women. Why? Because it provides them the mental toughness and self-discipline that you need to survive in today's society. Okay? So second thing is we need to convince that young men and women that this military service will offer you as a stepping stone for your future. You get into the military, you're going to learn a skill set, and you're going to get experience. So when you rejoin the society, you're at this level versus at the beginning level, okay? So it's important for M&D to ensure when they sign up, there's a sense of purpose for these people. They get the kind of training, they get a type of equipment to help train them, and they get a good livelihood and good pay. And they see a reward, not only the honor of serving, but also helping themselves personally.
Do you think that's enough, though? So one thing that I often hear is that there's kind of this perception among young people that Taiwan doesn't have the kit, that this is kind of still the military of the Second World War Republic of China. Do you think that there are more steps that Taiwan's military could take to say, we're modernized now under Wellington coup, we're making changes, we're not goose-stepping anymore, we've dropped bayonet training? Do you think that there needs to be more publicity about these things so people realize this is a modern army?
Absolutely, there need to be publicity because it is a modern army. If you look at the training system that's in place now, okay, I used to manage the Patriot program as the in-country manager for Readiness, for example. Taiwan actually has the most advanced Patriot training system. The the hands-on simulation of the entire system, that the instructor can insert fault into the system and the student have to find the fault and fix it, okay? There's only 2-3 countries other than the United States who actually spend their resources willing to buy this type of system to train their crew. F-16 training, you know, the computerized, that you can actually do hands-on on computer. You move a hand and do this, and before you're reading the paper technical order and try to go out there and look. Now on the computer you do the whole thing, then you go to the airplane, you recognize the things. These are the things that help make a newcomer who joined the military feel, I've done something, I learned something, I can do something. I think this is what makes people want to join, because they feel there is a purpose, versus mow the grass, standing guard, even though those are part of the job. You know, I mow grass, I polish floor, you know, and I've done all that, paint the walls. That's part of the military training, okay? You have to maintain your resources, and you can't just hire other people all the time. So yes, it's part of the training, but it's not the whole training, right? You do these other things that help enrich your knowledge, and but you have to also accept mowing the grass, painting the building is part of that, okay? So it's part of, actually, it's part of the mental toughness that you do a job well, no matter what it is. You gotta learn how to do it well.
Bringing this back to Han Kuang and doing the job well, what do you think would make this year's Han Kuang exercises a success?
You know, with any exercise, it's a success if you can identify shortfalls in your policy, in your processes, in your material, in whatever, in training, okay? If you can find those shortfalls, you have done 50% of the success. The other 50% is corrective action to fix that problem, okay? So through the years, I observed, over 10 years of Han Kuang. The first Han Kuang exercise I observed was Han Kuang 18. This year's Han Kuang 41, I think, you know? So every Han Kuang, in the end, will have an after action review, AAR. And in the after action review, the observation team, the joint observation team, US-Taiwan joint observation team will identify what Taiwan had done well during the exercise based on the scenario, what needs to be improved. And those improved items will have a list, and the Minister of Defense will assign organization that's responsible. Okay, this is communication issue, therefore J6, this logistic J4, you're in charge of this, and operational planning, J3, you do this. Then I used to observe and leave. Then when I was in AIT, I became observe, stay, follow up with MND on these issues that were identified, and how are we moving toward fixing it, okay? So most people don't see this part. Every year Taiwan gets better, every year. From all the observation, every year I see improvement. So this is something Taiwan should congratulate itself for, because Taiwan does not have the type of resistance to change you see in many other countries.
Tony, this has been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, and thank you everybody.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more from Taiwan Plus News, you can visit us on social media or go to taiwanplus.com. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.